So we now move on to being a group controller on the RAYNET DMR server. So if you are the group controller for your zone or region, or you wish to delegate that out to somebody else, that's fine. You just need to notify us who that would be, or that it is yourself. We do some checks, and then we enable you to be a group controller on the RAYNET server. What does that offer you? Well, let's have a look through some of the functionality that as a group controller you can have on the RAYNET system. So here we can see we're logged into the RAYNET system. We're on the dashboard. Nothing major exciting. Here we go across to groups. We can see the groups that I'm a member of, and for the purpose of this demonstration I've become a member of the Walsall group. I picked Walsall because no one else is in it, so I can make changes without impacting other users. And here we can see there's the Walsall group. I am indeed the group controller. We've got the details of which zone it's in zone 9. And we can change the talk group prefix. So at the moment, all the talk groups start with Walsall. So I might decide to change that to Wall, maybe making it a little bit shorter. If there is a better name for things, then that's shorter, that people in your region know about and understand. So for instance, in Buckinghamshire, we're all known as Bucks. It's the Bucks County. And so rather than having Buckinghamshire County as a name for all the talk groups, we just shorten that down to Bucks. So this is a quick way of naming all the talk groups. There we go. And you can see they're all now called Wall. Now, some of these talk groups are green, enabled, and others are disabled. And then if I want to enable or disable any of the talk groups, I can do that here. So disable that talk group. It no longer is available for traffic. It won't appear in people's lists. If you did already have it as a static, then it will still remain there, but you'll see it as disabled, and it won't receive or transaction any traffic. Other options here? Well, let's go across to the far end here where we can edit. So we can change the name. So this is currently called LocalNet. We could call it TestNet and update that, and we'll just change the name of that talk group. We can also go into the talk group itself, and here we can see who was last heard on this talk group. We can see who's got this talk group set as a static or who's currently on dynamic. And again, we've got the last 100 calls made on this talk group. We also have ACLs, access control lists. The access control list allows you to define who is allowed to transmit on this talk group. So if I put in my email address, or anybody else's, but we're just going to put mine in there for the moment. There we go, and add ACL. And by default, my ACL is to block Red, TX and RX. So as it's configured at the moment, if I try and transmit to this talk group, I will be refused. Everybody else is permitted to talk, but I will be rejected. I cannot transmit and I cannot receive. If I want to change that for that specific user, I can obviously click on their necessaries buttons and I can change that. So here now this user guy is able to receive. Still not able to transmit, but he's able to receive on this talk group. Now we also have this open, or this access option. If I change that to closed, then it flips that around. And now this talk group is closed, which means no one by default is able to transmit or receive on it, except for those people in the access control list. So now, if we do this, we can see that no one will be permitted to transmit except for me. Only I can transmit and receive. So this is a great way to secure that talk group. If you have a need for a private-ish talk group, where you control who's listening or who's able to transmit, then this is a great opportunity to enable that. For instance, it could be your management group of people are on a set so you can have a private management group just for those, or maybe you have a activity in progress and you want a talk group which you can transmit, but no one else can transmit. So you always keep the channel clear for you to make your notifications. In which point you can set yourself to transmit and make sure everybody else has got the flag set to no transmit, and then they can receive, but they will not be able to send. So it's a good way of keeping that clear. We can, with the access control list, set it to manual or automatic. With it in auto mode, as new people join that group, they will be added into the access control list as accepted to transmit and receive. So if you want to keep your group secure and prevent other people from joining in and listening into the group, but nevertheless allow members to do it without having to manually add them all in, we can set it to auto here, and then as new members join that talk group, they will be able to automatically have the access control list added for them to permit that use. You can of course then go in and update that talk group if you need to set the ACLs appropriately. And of course you can finally delete somebody's ACL if necessary. And we'll just turn that back. The global ACLs you saw turn on and off here as we were changing the open access level. But we can also manually change those. So if we want to effectively do the same thing, we can say globally no one is allowed to transmit, and then only those people listed in the ACL here will have the permission to transmit will be permitted to do so. And similarly, if we want to do the receive side, we can set the receive. No one can receive unless they'll be listed here as an acceptable receiver. And that's what that will do for you. And we can click back to the Warsaw group. And so here we can see a summary there. If you have got ACLs set, then this will obviously set to yes. And so you'll be able to see that there are access control lists associated. And if we again change this to a closed talk group, you'll see the little padlock here to highlight the fact that this is a closed talk group and others will not necessarily be able to communicate on it. And then because we're closed, we can't toggle the global ACLs here because it's controlled by our global control of closing this group down. And then you can see we've got a yes for the user ACLs because we've configured that as such. Okay, that's the access control lists for the talk groups. Now we're back in the group Warsaw, and we'll go across to users. Here are the users in your zone or your group, and we can, as a group controller, add more people to this list. And we can just add the email addresses into this box here. As many email addresses as you have. Don't worry about doing them one at a time. If you've got a big long list of email addresses, absolutely copy and paste those in there. If the email addresses are intermixed with other text, that's fine. We'll pick out the email addresses in the list and send those. So here we just got another one of my email addresses, and I'm just going to click register. And there we go. Now we have a registered user. This is me down here, my original one. There's my call sign because I've already set up my DMR IDs and so forth. But what we also have is waiting enrollment. So this is somebody who's received an email from us. That's the email it was sent to. And they have this token. This is a token that makes up that unique link that we saw first thing to allow them to register themselves into your group. And there's the group that they're going to be associated with. And this is when it was created. So this is when we first sent that welcome email. And here we can see the last sent, so same time. So we've only just sent it once. And who created it? Well, that was me. Now, of course, sometimes these mails get caught into junk and spam, or they delete them by mistake. And so we have the opportunity here to resend that welcome message. So if they do lose it or have no capability of getting it for the first time around, or they just need a gentle reminder, we can go ahead and click the resend, and you'll see that the sent message timestamp changes. Oops, there we go. There we go. So it's a minute after, and we'll have just sent a new email to this person to say come and register. If after a period of time, or they come back to you and say no, we're not going to join, then of course we can hit the remove and delete that token, and it's no longer valid on the system. It will not allow them to register with it. If of course they change their mind later on, send them another registration email from the list, and the process will start again. So up here, a list of the groups that we're a member of. If we're a member but not a group admin, then we obviously don't see the users, and we have no capability to change or modify the control lists or name the groups or anything else. So it's for our information only. Over here on the right hand side, we've already seen our user profile, and under info we can have a look at the WiresF dashboard. So if you are looking for traffic or communications on over WiresF, we can go to this one, and there we can see we've got a couple of people, or one person connected on WiresF, and our bridge system to allow for transport. So if you were to connect up to WiresF on 23531 and key up, traffic would appear here, and vice versa. Also have our logs. So this is a great way to debug if things are not working the way you hope they were. Here we can see the back-end logs from the server showing us our peer made a connection, tried to log in, made a auth request, and then finally sent the configuration. So this is a successful transaction, and we can obviously look through the logs to see if we're getting any errors, miscommunications, or whatever else. The logs are filtered, so they only show logs for you. You won't be seeing anybody else's log activity, just your own. And of course, you're only going to see the last 100 or so log lines. We're not going to send you everything. If you need to go further back than that, then obviously contact us and we will do our best to help. Announcements tells you all the updates that we've done to the server. So as we bring out new features and facilities or fix bugs, we will put those in the announcements. They will appear on the banner page at the top, but you can go back here and have a look at the historical announcements as well if necessary. And then finally is our stats page, giving you a brief overview of how this system is performing, how many peers we have, of what type they are, what hardware, software versions we're running, frequencies, how many times we've had traffic. So for instance, this week so far, 372 overs we've had, and we take out the blips, and this one we don't. So if you just blip it to join the group, then it will appear here in this count, but here we're saying the over must be longer than 2 seconds, and then it will appear in this this one here, assuming we've actually got a conversation going. And then finally at the bottom here, where are all the users? So which zone has the most users? So zone 6, 53 users in it, and so forth. So we've got users in all zones, although some zones only have 1 or 2. And then where are the users sitting? Where are they lurking? Well, most users are going to lurk in the 23531, 50 talk group, and that is our national chat channel, bridged to Brandmeister 23531, and of course the WiresF room as well. So if you want to hear activity, this is the place to be. And then of course you can see the other common talk groups that people are setting as static in their environments. And then at the bottom here is just a little breakdown of where the most activity is occurring. So again, you can see the national talk group is the busiest, and then we've got our echo test is is the next busiest at the bottom down there, but you can see it fluctuates over week on week, but the national one seems to be at the moment continuously the busiest used. And that is it. Finally, just a quick thing about search. You can perform a search on the system. So if you want to search for a call sign, you can do that, and you'll see here who's got registrations of call signs. You can also search for DMR IDs, and we'll tell you whether they're registered or not, and so forth. So we'll give you some of the information about the the person and the details we have associated with them. Okay, that is the RAYNET server in a nutshell. Thank you for watching.